The warning alarm screamed through the corridors of the UES Defiance as Captain Jake Morrison rushed to the bridge. His boots echoed against the metal floor while crew members ran to their stations. Red lights flashed everywhere, painting the walls in an urgent glow that meant only one thing. They were no longer alone in this part of space. "Report," Jake called out as he stepped onto the bridge. His voice stayed calm, even though his heart was beating fast. 20 years in space had taught him that panic killed more people than any alien weapon ever could. Lieutenant Tom Bradley turned from his console with wide eyes. "Sir, we have multiple contacts on our sensors, big ones. They just dropped out of hyperspace about 2 million kilometers away." His hands shook slightly as he worked the controls. "Captain, these ships are massive. The largest one is 3 times our size." Jake moved to the main view screen and stared at the dark shapes moving against the stars. Even from this distance, he could see they were built for war. Sharp edges and weapon ports covered their hulls like the teeth of some giant beast. These were not exploration ships or trade vessels. These were predator craft, designed to hunt and kill. "Any communication attempts from them?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir," came the reply from Communications Officer Maria Santos. "They're demanding we surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded." The message was sent on all frequencies in perfect English. Jake raised an eyebrow. Perfect English meant they had been watching humanity for some time. They knew about Earth, about human colonies, maybe even about human military strength. Yet they still came here with demands instead of diplomacy. "Open a channel," Jake ordered. The main screen flickered and changed to show a face that made several bridge crew members step backward. The alien commander was clearly built for killing. His head was long and reptilian with yellow eyes that seemed to look right through everything. Sharp teeth filled his mouth and scales covered his neck and what they could see of his shoulders. Battle scars marked his face like trophies of past victories. "I am Commander Thane of the Korthak Imperial Fleet," the alien said in a voice like grinding stone. "You will surrender your vessel immediately and submit to Valderan authority. Any resistance will be met with complete destruction." Jake straightened his uniform and looked directly into those yellow eyes. Around him, his crew waited to see how their captain would respond to the most dangerous-looking creature they had ever seen. Some other captains might have considered surrender. Some might have tried to run. Jake Morrison did neither. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Defiance," he replied in a steady voice. "Welcome to this sector of space. I would like to request a formal meeting to discuss your presence here." The alien commander tilted his head like a confused predator. His eyes narrowed as if he had not heard correctly. "You request a meeting? Human, do you not understand what I am? Do you not see the weapons pointed at your fragile ship?" "I see them," Jake said calmly. "I also see an opportunity for 2 civilizations to meet properly, instead of through threats and demands. Would you be willing to come aboard my ship so we can talk face to face?" Commander Thane stared at the human captain for a long moment. In all his years of conquest, no species had ever responded this way. They screamed, they begged, they tried to run or fight desperately. They did not invite him aboard for conversations. This human either had some trick prepared or was completely insane. "You invite me onto your ship?" Thane asked slowly. "Yes. Bring your security team if you wish. We'll meet in Cargo Bay 2. It's large enough for formal introductions." Thane's confusion grew deeper. The human showed no fear, no desperation, no recognition that he was speaking to one of the galaxy's most successful predators. Either humans were incredibly stupid or incredibly dangerous. Both possibilities interested him. "Very well," Thane decided. "I will bring a small party. Any treachery will result in your immediate destruction." "Understood. We'll be waiting." The communication ended and Jake turned to his crew. Several of them looked at him like he had just invited death aboard their ship. Dr. Emily Foster, the ship's science officer, stepped forward with concern written across her face. "Captain, are you sure about this? Those aliens look like they could tear us apart with their bare hands." Jake smiled slightly. "That's exactly why we need to meet them properly. Fear makes people do stupid things, Doctor. If we show them we're not afraid, maybe they'll be curious enough to talk instead of shoot." An hour later, Jake stood in Cargo Bay 2 with a small security team. The bay had been cleared of supplies and set up like a meeting room with a simple table and chairs. When the alien shuttle landed and its doors opened, Jake got his first look at the Korthak up close. Commander Thane was even more impressive in person. He stood nearly 8 feet tall with muscles that strained against his dark armor. His claws could easily cut through steel, and his teeth were designed for tearing flesh. 2 smaller Korthak warriors followed him, both looking ready to attack at the first sign of trouble. But Jake Morrison walked forward with his hand extended in the human greeting of a handshake. "Commander Thane, welcome aboard the Defiance." The alien predator stared down at the offered hand. In his entire military career, no prey species had ever offered him a handshake. They cowered, they submitted, they tried to bargain for their lives. They did not greet him like an equal. "You are either very brave or very foolish, Captain Morrison," Thane said, but he reached out and carefully shook the human's hand with 2 clawed fingers. "Maybe both," Jake admitted with a grin. "But that's what makes humans interesting." "Doctor." Emily Foster stepped forward to examine the aliens with scientific curiosity rather than fear. She asked questions about their biology, their homeworld, their technology. Her genuine interest surprised Thane more than any weapon could have. "Your species shows no fear response," Thane observed. "This is unusual." "We feel fear," Jake explained. "We just don't let it control us. Fear can be useful if you use it right." Thane considered this. Throughout the galaxy, his species was known for inspiring terror in other races. That terror made conquest easy because frightened enemies made poor decisions. But these humans treated him with respect instead of fear, curiosity instead of panic. "I propose a test," Thane announced suddenly. "Single combat between us. If you win, we will consider formal diplomatic relations. If I win, your species submits to Valdaran rule." Jake looked at the massive alien warrior who could probably break him in half. Around the cargo bay, his crew held their breath waiting for his answer. "Accepted," Jake said without hesitation. 3 weeks after Captain Jake Morrison's first meeting with Commander Thane, news of the strange humans had spread across the entire Valdaran Empire. Admiral Lisa Hayes received the emergency transmission while her fleet was stationed near Jupiter's moons. The message was simple but urgent. "Come to the Outer Rim immediately. Bring diplomatic staff and military advisors." Lisa stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Thunderbolt, watching the stars streak past as they jumped through hyperspace. She had spent 15 years fighting pirates and hostile aliens. But this mission felt different. Reports from the Defiance described predators unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Yet somehow, Jake had managed to avoid a shooting war. "Admiral, we're receiving multiple contacts on long-range sensors," reported Navigation Officer Kevin Murphy. "Looks like we're about to meet the welcoming committee." The main screen showed a formation of alien ships that made Lisa whistle softly. Each vessel was a work of deadly art, built by species that had never known defeat. She counted at least 6 different ship designs, all bristling with weapons and painted in the dark colors of hunters. "Open communications," Lisa ordered. The screen flickered to show not one alien commander but 4 different species sitting around a curved table. Lisa had read the reports, but seeing them in person was still shocking. Commander Thane sat in the center, his reptilian features as intimidating as ever. To his left was a creature that looked like a giant wolf walking on 2 legs, with silver fur and ice-blue eyes. On his right sat something resembling a humanoid shark with rows of sharp teeth and black eyes that seemed to swallow light. The 4th alien had the build of a massive tiger with orange and black striped fur covering powerful muscles. "I am Fleet Admiral Corex of the Fenrax Pack Hunters," the wolf-like alien spoke first, his voice carrying the hint of a growl. "These are High Admiral Reef of the Salashi Deep Warriors and General Strike of the Panthek Pride Fighters. We form the Valdaran High Council for this sector." Lisa stood straight and formal. "I am Admiral Lisa Hayes of the United Earth Fleet. I understand you wish to establish relations with humanity." The tiger-striped alien called Strike leaned forward. "Relations is a strong word, human. We wish to test your species properly. Commander, Thane tells unusual stories about your people, but words are not proof. What kind of test did you have in mind? Lisa asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. The shark-like creature named Reef spoke for the first time, his voice sounding like water flowing over rocks. We have sent hunting parties to 3 of your outer colonies. They will test how your species responds to real pressure. If you flee like other prey species, we will know humans are nothing special. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her voice level. You're attacking civilian settlements? Testing, corrected Orcs. We do not kill unless we must, but we will see how humans behave when faced with true predators. The transmission ended, and Lisa immediately began giving orders. Navigation, set course for New Haven Colony. Communications, alert the other colonies and our patrol ships. Medical, prepare for casualties. She paused and looked at her bridge crew. And send a message to Earth. Tell them we might need reinforcements. 2 days later, Lisa's fleet arrived at New Haven to find something no one expected. The colony was not only intact, but had actually grown stronger. Farmer Tom Bradley met the Admiral at the landing pad with a smile on his weathered face and dirt under his fingernails. Admiral Hayes, good to see you, Tom said, shaking her hand firmly. Hope you don't mind, but we've been a bit busy lately. Lisa looked around the settlement in amazement. Instead of the damaged buildings and frightened colonists she expected to find, she saw new defensive walls, organized patrol routes, and people working together with military precision. Children played in gardens while adults stood watch with weapons ready. The aliens attacked 3 days ago, Tom explained as he led her through the colony. Big, scary things that looked like wolves and tigers. They expected us to run screaming, I think. What did you do instead? Tom grinned. We invited them to stay for dinner. Lisa stopped walking. You what? Well, after we shot at them for a few hours and showed them we weren't going to run away, Tom clarified. Then Mechanic Maria Santos had this idea. She walked out with a white flag and asked if they wanted to talk instead of fight. They reached the colony's central square, where Lisa saw something that would have shocked the Valdaran High Council. 3 alien warriors sat at tables with human colonists, sharing food and apparently having conversations. The predators looked confused but not hostile. Maria Santos, a short woman with grease-stained overalls, approached the Admiral. They're fascinating creatures, she said enthusiastically. Very honorable once you get past all the growling and showing of teeth. They were testing us to see if we'd panic and scatter like other species do. And when you didn't? They didn't know what to do, Maria laughed. Turns out these big scary predators have never met a prey species that fights back intelligently. Most races either run away or attack blindly. We did neither. Lisa spent the next few hours listening to reports from all 3 attacked colonies. The story was the same everywhere. Instead of panicking, the human settlers had organized defensive strategies that impressed their attackers. They shared resources, protected their weakest members, and fought with coordination that surprised the predators. But what truly amazed the Valdaran warriors was something they had never seen before. When the fighting stopped, humans didn't celebrate victory or demand surrender. They offered medical aid to wounded enemies and invited them to share meals. This behavior was completely outside the predator's understanding of how prey species should act. Dr. Michael Torres, Lisa's chief science advisor, studied the reports with growing excitement. Admiral, I think we're seeing something remarkable here. These predator species have conquered the galaxy by inspiring fear, but they've never encountered persistence hunters before. Persistence hunters? Humans evolved differently than these. Aliens. They're apex predators who rely on overwhelming physical power. We're apex predators who rely on outlasting and outthinking our opponents. When we don't run or die quickly, they don't know how to process it. Lisa nodded slowly. The report showed that every Valdaran attack had followed the same pattern. Initial overwhelming assault, expectation of quick victory, then confusion when humans adapted and fought back smartly instead of desperately. There's something else, Dr. Torres continued. Look at how our colonists responded to the attacks. They didn't just defend individually. They formed tighter community bonds, shared resources more effectively, and created defensive strategies that used everyone's skills. Pack behavior, Lisa realized. Exactly. Under pressure, humans don't scatter like most prey species. We form stronger packs. These predator aliens have never seen anything like it, because they've never met a species that becomes more dangerous when threatened, instead of less dangerous. The next day, Lisa received a communication from the Valdaran High Council requesting another meeting. This time, all 4 alien commanders looked thoughtful instead of aggressive. Your species shows unusual patterns, Admiral Corex admitted. We have tested many races across the galaxy. All others either flee immediately or fight desperately until they are destroyed. Humans do neither. High Admiral Reef leaned forward with obvious curiosity. Your colonists fought intelligently, then offered aid to our warriors. This behavior makes no sense to us. Why do you help those who attack you? Lisa chose her words carefully. Because that's how packs work. Once the fighting stops, you take care of everyone in the group. Your warriors proved they were brave by attacking us. Our people proved they were strong by defending successfully. Now you're all part of the same pack. The 4 predators exchanged glances that Lisa couldn't interpret. General Strike spoke slowly. You consider our warriors part of your pack now? If they want to be, Lisa replied. That's their choice. Commander Thane, who had been quiet during the entire conversation, finally spoke. Admiral Hayes, we must ask you something important. Are humans prey or predator? Lisa smiled. We're both, and that makes us something you've never seen before. The transport ship carrying General Rex Blackclaw was the largest vessel anyone had ever seen dock at Neutral Station Gamma. The massive bear-like alien emerged from his ship surrounded by an honor guard of equally intimidating Ursak warriors. Each one stood over 9 feet tall with thick brown fur covering muscles that could crush steel. Their claws were as long as knives and their teeth could bite through armor plating. Rex himself was a legend throughout Valdaran space. For 50 years, he had never lost a single combat. His victories were spoken of in whispers by other predator species who considered him the ultimate warrior. When he walked through the station corridors, even hardened alien traders stepped aside and bowed their heads in respect. I have come to settle this matter of humans once and for all, Rex announced to the assembled representatives from dozens of species. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. The High Council speaks of strange behavior and unusual tactics, but I believe they have grown soft. No prey species can truly challenge the Ursak. Marine Colonel David Park stood at the opposite end of the Great Hall, looking impossibly small next to the alien giant. At 6 feet tall with the lean build of a career soldier, David appeared to be completely outmatched, but his eyes held the steady confidence of a man who had faced death many times and walked away. General Blackclaw, David said formally, I accept your challenge on behalf of the human military. What terms do you propose? Rex smiled, showing teeth that could tear a human in half. Single combat on the fighting grounds of Moon Tertius. No weapons except what nature provided. Combat continues until one opponent cannot continue. Agreed. The crowds that gathered to watch the fight filled every available space around the ancient fighting arena on Moon Tertius. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy had come to witness what many believed would be the final proof that humans were nothing special. Betting heavily favored the Ursak general, with odds running 100 to 1 against the human. Dr. Emily Foster sat in the human section, her medical equipment ready to treat David's injuries. This is insane, she muttered to Admiral Lisa Hayes. Rex outweighs David by at least 300 pounds and has natural weapons that could kill him instantly. David knows what he's doing, Lisa replied, though her own voice carried tension. He's studied every recording of Ursak combat we could find. He has a plan. When the 2 fighters entered the circular arena, the contrast was even more dramatic. Rex moved with the confident swagger of a predator who had never known defeat. His massive paws left deep prints in the sand while his claws gleamed in the artificial sunlight. David walked quietly to his position, his movements economical and precise. Begin, announced the neutral referee, a crystalline being that could not be harmed by either combatant. Rex charged immediately, expecting to end the fight with one devastating blow. His massive paw swung toward David's head with enough force to decapitate a smaller alien. But the human wasn't there when the blow arrived. David had rolled aside at the last possible moment, letting the general's momentum carry him past. The crowd murmured with surprise. Most fights against Rex ended with that first charge. For the next 20 minutes, David played a game of survival that frustrated the massive alien. Every time Rex attacked, David avoided the blow by inches and landed small counterstrikes before moving away. The human's hits seemed insignificant against the general's thick hide and powerful muscles, but they were precisely targeted at nerve clusters and pressure points. "Stand still and fight like a warrior," Rex roared after another missed charge left him off balance. "I am fighting like a warrior," David replied calmly, "just not the kind you're used to." As the fight continued, something strange began to happen. Rex's massive strength advantage started working against him. Each powerful swing that missed left him slightly more tired. Each charge that found only empty air consumed more of his energy reserves. Meanwhile, David's careful movements and precise breathing kept him fresh and alert. The turning point came when Rex, growing desperate, attempted his signature finishing move. The general reared up on his hind legs to bring both massive paws down on his opponent. It was a blow that had crushed dozens of challengers throughout his career. David didn't try to dodge this time. Instead, he stepped forward into the attack, catching Rex's wrists and using the alien's own momentum to throw him off balance. The massive general crashed to the ground hard enough to shake the entire arena. But what happened next shocked everyone watching. Rex rolled to his feet quickly and attacked again, but David absorbed the blow and kept fighting. When the general's claws raked across his chest, leaving deep wounds, David grimaced but didn't fall back. When Rex's powerful punch connected with his ribs, David heard bones crack but stayed on his feet. "Why won't you stay down?" Rex demanded, breathing heavily as his own energy began to fade. "Because staying down means my people lose," David replied, blood running down his face from multiple cuts. "And humans don't quit." For the first time in 50 years of combat, Rex Blackclaw began to understand what it meant to face a persistence hunter. This human couldn't match his strength or speed, but he possessed something Rex had never encountered before. No matter how much damage David took, he continued fighting. Every knockdown was followed by the human getting back up. Every seemingly decisive blow was shrugged off and answered with a counterattack. The fight began to resemble something from ancient legends rather than a sporting contest. Rex would land devastating hits that should have ended the battle, but David would rise again each time. The human's face was covered in blood, his uniform was torn to shreds, and his breathing came in ragged gasps, but his eyes never lost their determined focus. As the sun began to set over the arena, both fighters were near exhaustion. Rex's massive frame heaved with each breath while sweat matted his thick fur. David swayed on his feet, held upright more by willpower than physical strength. Then David did something that changed everything. Instead of attacking or defending, he spoke. "General Blackclaw, you are the finest warrior I have ever faced. Your strength and skill honor your species, but this fight proves nothing except that we can both endure pain. Our people don't have to be enemies." Rex stared at the bloody human who somehow remained standing after taking enough punishment to kill most aliens. In that moment, the great general finally understood what the High Council had been trying to tell him. These humans weren't prey pretending to be predators. They were a different kind of predator entirely. "You speak truth, human warrior," Rex said slowly. Then, in a gesture that sent shockwaves throughout the watching crowd, the legendary Ursak general lowered his massive head in acknowledgement. "You have earned recognition as Apex." The arena fell completely silent. In 50 years of combat, no one had ever seen Rex Blackclaw bow to another fighter. But there he stood, offering the traditional gesture of respect that one alpha gives to another alpha. David, despite his injuries, walked forward and placed his hand on Rex's great head. "Thank you, General. I hope this means our species can be allies instead of enemies." "More than allies," Rex replied, his voice carrying new respect. "Pack brothers." The news of General Rex Blackclaw's acknowledgement spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every world controlled by the Valderan Empire, predator species gathered in meeting halls and command centers to discuss what this unprecedented event meant for their civilization. Some called it betrayal, others called it evolution. But everyone agreed that something fundamental had changed. Ambassador Rachel Foster stepped off her diplomatic shuttle onto the main dock of Predator Prime, the capital world of the Valderan Empire. She had been chosen for this mission because of her reputation for staying calm under pressure, but even she felt her heart race as she looked around the spaceport. Every alien she saw was built for killing, from the smallest fox-like creature, with razor-sharp claws, to massive rhinoceros beings whose horns could pierce battle armor. Ambassador Foster, came a familiar voice. Commander Thane approached with what might have been a smile on his reptilian features. "Welcome to our homeworld. I trust your journey was comfortable." "Very much so, Commander. Thank you for the invitation." Rachel gestured to her small team. "I've brought Dr. Michael Torres, our behavioral specialist, and Commander Alex Stone from our Special Forces. We're here to learn about your culture and share information about ours." Thane nodded approvingly. "Your timing is excellent. The Great Assembly is meeting to discuss the human question. Your presence will help them understand what Rex Blackclaw discovered." As they traveled through the city toward the government complex, Rachel marveled at the architecture. Every building was designed to accommodate different predator species, from underground tunnels for burrowing aliens to high towers for winged creatures. But what struck her most was the atmosphere. Despite being surrounded by the galaxy's most dangerous beings, she felt no sense of immediate threat. These weren't mindless killers, but organized, intelligent societies. The Great Assembly Hall was enormous, filled with representatives from hundreds of predator species. Rachel saw wolf packs sitting together in family groups, great cats lounging on specially designed perches, and massive bear-like creatures occupying reinforced seating areas. The noise level was incredible, as different species communicated through roars, howls, clicks, and growls. "Honored Assembly," Thane announced as he led the humans to a central platform. "I present Ambassador Rachel Foster and her advisors. They come to speak for their species." The hall fell silent as hundreds of predatory eyes focused on the small group of humans. Rachel felt the weight of their attention but kept her voice steady and clear. "Members of the Great Assembly, we come, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as potential allies. Recent events have shown that our species can work together despite our differences." A massive shark-like being rose from his seat. "Human, we have heard strange reports about your people. Some say you are prey trying to act like predators. Others claim you are predators unlike any we have known." "Which is true?" Dr. Michael Torres stepped forward. "Honored Assembly, we are persistence hunters. Our species evolved on a world where success came not from overwhelming strength but from the ability to outlast and outthink our challenges." "Explain," demanded a wolf-like creature from the Fenrax delegation. Michael activated a holographic display showing Earth's ancient hunting patterns. "Our ancestors would track large prey animals for days or weeks, following them until exhaustion made them vulnerable. We didn't need to be stronger or faster. We needed to be smarter and more determined." Commander Alex Stone added his own perspective. "This hunting strategy required cooperation. Humans learned to work together in groups, sharing information and resources to achieve goals that no individual could accomplish alone." A tiger-striped alien called out, "But Rex Blackclaw is the strongest warrior in our empire. How did your Colonel Park defeat him?" "He didn't defeat him," Rachel clarified. "That's the point. Human victory doesn't require destroying our opponents. It requires outlasting them until they choose to work with us, instead of against us." The assembly erupted in discussions as different species debated this concept among themselves. Rachel waited patiently, knowing that predators needed time to process ideas that challenged their basic assumptions about survival. Finally, an ancient bear-like creature stood up. This was Elder Mountain, the oldest and most respected leader in the assembly. His voice carried the authority of centuries of experience. "Young humans, your words are interesting, but words prove nothing. We are warriors, not philosophers. Show us what you mean. Rachel smiled. She had been hoping for exactly this request. Elder Mountain, we would be honored to demonstrate. May I suggest a series of challenges that test different types of problem solving? Over the next 3 days, the humans participated in contests that showcased their unique abilities. In tactical simulations, they didn't try to overpower alien opponents, but instead used coordination and adaptability to achieve objectives. When faced with resource distribution problems, they created solutions that benefited all participants rather than just the strongest. But the real breakthrough came during a crisis simulation. The test presented a scenario where multiple predator species had to work together to save a colony from natural disaster. Traditional predator leadership involved the strongest species giving orders, while others followed or competed for dominance. Rachel's team took a completely different approach. Instead of trying to establish dominance, they coordinated the different species' natural abilities. They put the fastest aliens in charge of evacuation, the strongest in charge of rescue operations, and the smartest in charge of logistics. Rather than competing against each other, all the species worked toward the same goal. "This is impossible," muttered Admiral Orcs of the Fenrax. "Predators cannot coordinate like this. We are built for competition, not cooperation." "You're built for both," Michael Torres explained. "Every successful predator species forms social groups for hunting and protection. Humans have simply extended that pack behavior beyond our own species." The final demonstration involved Alex Stone working with volunteer warriors from different predator species. Instead of trying to match their individual strengths, he taught them how to combine their abilities in ways that multiplied their effectiveness. A Panthec warrior learned to use his speed to set up attacks for a slower but stronger Ursak fighter. Fenrax pack hunters discovered that their natural coordination became even more effective when guided by human tactical planning. Selaki warriors found that their individual killing power increased dramatically when they worked as part of a larger strategy. "You are teaching our warriors to be more dangerous," observed Elder Mountain. "We're teaching them to be more effective," Rachel corrected. "Individual strength has limits. Pack strength can grow without limits as long as everyone contributes their best abilities." On the final day, Elder Mountain called for a formal vote. The question was simple. Should the Valdaran Empire consider humans as potential pack partners, rather than prey or competitors? The debate lasted for hours as different species argued their positions. Some older predators insisted that working with prey species was beneath their dignity. Younger warriors who had participated in the demonstrations argued that humans offered something valuable that their empire had never possessed before. Finally, the vote was called. One by one, species representatives stood to cast their ballots. The results were closer than expected, but clear enough to satisfy even the skeptics. "The Assembly recognizes humans as potential pack partners," Elder Mountain announced. "You are not prey. You are not traditional predators. You are something new, and that makes you valuable to our empire." Rachel felt relief flood through her body, but Elder Mountain wasn't finished speaking. "However," the ancient leader continued, "this recognition comes with responsibility. If you wish to be our pack partners, you must prove that partnership benefits both our species. Words and demonstrations are not enough. You must show us through actions that human leadership can make the Valdaran Empire stronger." Thane stepped forward. "Elder Mountain speaks wisdom. Recent intelligence reports indicate a serious threat approaching our territory from the outer rim. Something is consuming entire star systems, leaving nothing but empty space behind. Our traditional military tactics have proven ineffective against this enemy." The hall fell silent as the implications became clear. The predator species were facing an enemy they couldn't defeat through strength alone. Rachel looked at her team, then back at the Assembly. "If the Valdaran Empire will accept human strategic guidance, we're willing to help you face this threat." "And if we accept your guidance but your strategies fail?" asked Elder Mountain. "Then we'll face the consequences together," Rachel replied. "That's what pack partners do." Elder Mountain studied the human ambassador for a long moment, then nodded, slowly. "Very well. Let us see if human pack leadership can save the greatest predator empire in the galaxy. The emergency beacon from Sector 7 reached Predator Prime at 3 in the morning, local time. Commander Thane was awakened by alarms screaming through his quarters as automated systems activated emergency protocols throughout the capital. By the time he reached the command center, reports were streaming in from the Outer Rim territories. "The Kepler system is gone," reported Intelligence Officer Razor, a lean panthek with nervous energy crackling through his striped fur. 3 planets, 2 moons, and a mining station, all consumed in less than 6 hours. Thane stared at the tactical display showing empty space where a thriving star system had existed just days before. Consumed how? Enemy fleet? Super weapon? That's what makes this terrifying, sir. Our deep space sensors show no debris, no energy signatures, no evidence of battle. The planets and everything on them simply disappeared. More reports flooded in over the following hours. The Darwin system vanished completely. The Helix Nebula mining operation went silent and was found to be empty space when scout ships arrived. Whatever was approaching Valderan territory didn't just destroy civilizations. It erased them entirely. Within 24 hours, every major predator species had recalled their fleets to defensive positions around core worlds. The Fenrax wolf packs howled battle songs that hadn't been heard in centuries. Ursak bear warriors sharpened claws that could tear through starship hulls. Salaki shark hunters prepared weapons that could kill entire crews with single strikes. But for the first time in their military history, the predators were afraid. "Our battle fleets are useless against an enemy we cannot see or understand," admitted Admiral Corax during an emergency council meeting. "How do you fight something that makes entire star systems disappear?" General Rex Blackclaw, still recovering from his fight with Colonel David Park, spoke from his medical chair. "Traditional predator tactics require an enemy that can be intimidated, cornered, or overpowered. This threat appears to be none of those things." Elder Mountain's ancient voice carried through the assembly hall. "Then perhaps it is time to consider non-traditional tactics." The suggestion hung in the air like a challenge. For thousands of years, the Valdaran Empire had conquered through overwhelming force and individual superiority. The idea of changing their fundamental military approach was almost unthinkable. Thane made the decision that would change galactic history. "I propose we request human assistance." The council erupted in arguments. Younger warriors saw the logic in seeking help from their new pack partners. Older predators viewed it as an admission of weakness that would shame their ancestors. The debate raged for hours until news arrived that silenced all discussion. The Devourer fleet had been spotted. Long-range sensors finally detected the approaching enemy, and the images left even the bravest predators speechless. The Devourers weren't ships in any recognizable sense. They were massive organic creatures the size of moons, moving through space like living asteroids. Hundreds of them were advancing toward Valdaran territory, consuming everything in their path. "They don't fight," whispered the sensor technician, a young Fenrax whose voice shook with terror. "They just eat. They consume matter itself and convert it into more of themselves." Thane stood slowly, his decision crystallizing as he watched the enemy advance. "Send a priority message to Earth. Tell them we need their help immediately." 2 days later, Thane's personal ship landed on Earth's main spaceport. He had never visited the human homeworld before, and the experience was unlike anything he had expected. Instead of a fortress world bristling with defenses, Earth appeared peaceful and green. Cities blended seamlessly with natural landscapes, and humans moved through their environment with the casual confidence of apex predators who had nothing to fear. General Susan Wright met him at the spaceport with a small security detail. The human military leader was shorter than most predators, but carried herself with the unmistakable bearing of someone accustomed to command. "Commander Thane, welcome to Earth. I understand your empire faces a serious threat." "General Wright, my people have never asked for help before, but this enemy is unlike anything we have encountered. Our strength and traditional tactics are useless against them." Susan nodded thoughtfully. "I've studied the reports from your Outer Rim territories. These Devourers represent a completely different kind of warfare. Fighting them will require strategies your species have never used before." What do you suggest? That depends. Are you prepared to follow human military leadership, even if our orders contradict your natural instincts? Thane considered the question carefully. Everything in his predator nature rebelled against the idea of taking orders from a species he had once considered prey. But the images of empty star systems where entire civilizations had vanished weighed heavily on his mind. If human leadership can save my people, then yes, I will follow your orders. Susan smiled grimly. Then let's get to work. But first, I need to meet with representatives from all your major species. This war will require total cooperation between humans and predators. The next morning, Thane found himself in the unusual position of presenting human military officers to the greatest predator leaders in the galaxy. General Susan Wright stood before Elder Mountain, Admiral Rex Blackclaw, and dozens of other legendary warriors without showing any sign of intimidation. Honored predators, I won't waste time with diplomacy. Your enemy is unlike anything humans have faced before, but we've studied similar threats in our historical simulations. The Devourers can only be defeated through coordinated tactics that use every species' natural abilities. Admiral Corex leaned forward skeptically. You speak of coordination, but our species have competed for dominance for thousands of years. How can we suddenly work together? Combat Instructor Sergeant Kevin Murphy stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, you already know how to work together. Every successful hunt requires pack coordination. We're just expanding the size of your pack. To demonstrate, Kevin had volunteers from different predator species participate in tactical exercises. Instead of trying to suppress their aggressive instincts, the human instructors channeled those instincts into coordinated strategies. Fenrak's speed and pack coordination became the foundation for rapid strike forces. Ursak's strength and endurance formed the core of defensive formations. Salachi's stealth and precision provided reconnaissance and sabotage capabilities. Panthek agility and individual combat skills created elite assault units. You're not asking us to become something we're not, realized Rex Blackclaw. You're asking us to become better at what we already are. Exactly, Susan confirmed. Humans don't fight by suppressing our nature. We fight by coordinating our nature with others to achieve goals no individual could reach alone. The real test came when they ran full-scale battle simulations against Devourer attacks. Traditional predator tactics involved each species fighting independently, trying to prove their individual superiority. The results were devastating failures as the simulated Devourers overwhelmed isolated forces. But when the same predator units followed human coordination protocols, the results changed dramatically. Fenrak scouts identified Devourer weak points. Ursak heavy units provided stable firing platforms. Salaki strike teams attacked vulnerable areas, while Panthek assault forces protected the flanks. Most importantly, human tactical officers coordinated the entire battle from command positions that allowed them to see the larger strategic picture. Instead of individual species competing for glory, all forces worked toward the single goal of stopping the enemy advance. This is impossible, muttered Admiral Corex after watching his Wolfpack units achieve victory in a scenario where they had failed dozens of times before. We are the same warriors using the same weapons. How are the results so different? Because now you're fighting as one pack instead of many competing packs, explained Dr. Michael Torres. Humans learned long ago that coordination multiplies individual ability far beyond simple addition. Elder Mountain spoke for the entire assembly. General Wright, if we accept human strategic leadership in this war, what assurance do we have that humans will not use this position to dominate our empire afterward? Susan looked the ancient predator directly in his eyes. Elder Mountain, I give you the same assurance Colonel David Park gave General Rex Blackclaw. We fight not to dominate you, but to protect the pack. If we survive this war, humans and predators will face the future as equals. The formal ceremony took place 3 days later in Earth's capital city. Representatives from every major predator species gathered to witness something that had never happened before in galactic history. The Valdaran Empire, the most feared military force in the galaxy, formally requested human leadership in time of war. Thane spoke for his entire civilization. General Wright, The Valdaran Empire places itself under human strategic command for the duration of this crisis. We trust you to lead our combined forces against the Devourer threat. Susan accepted the responsibility with the gravity it deserved. Commander Thane, I accept this trust. Together, we will show these Devourers what happens when predators unite under common leadership. As the ceremony concluded, both species began the largest military mobilization in galactic history. Human strategic officers were assigned to every Predator fleet and ground force. Predator warriors were integrated into human tactical formations. Supply lines were established to support the combined armies. The galaxy's greatest predators had chosen their alpha. Now they would discover if human pack leadership could save them all from extinction.